We are here with a slimmer Jon Trethewey, as obviously looking good, mate. How's things, you all right?
Thanks for getting that in. For anyone watching, I did tell him to say that. Yeah, I've lost a little bit of timber, so I'm happy with that. I ain't shut up about it all day. But no, it's good to see you. Thanks for having us on. Thanks for coming down for what's going to be a great show.
Yeah, look, you are looking good though. Obviously, it's sometimes, you know, when what men are like, where people have to point stuff out, it is true. But on to the show tonight. It is an absolute fantastic show. There's 50 fights. I think there's like the titles in there. You put me on the spot with a few of these myself, with who I think is going to win. How are you feeling about tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a fan first, like anybody in the sport. I don't think you get into boxing. I certainly don't make any money, so you got to be mad in the head whether you're even out of the ring, let alone in the ring. So when you pull off the good shows, they're really, really good. And you know, like the weeks leading up to it, a week out, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, you get the odd phone call where this can't happen. There's a medical problem here.
Yeah.
This 50-50 fights off. So to turn up with a card we have. Mark and I now been working together, Nielsen Boxing obviously, as a collaborative for just over a year now. I think we've done about 15 shows in a year or so, maybe more. This is the best one we've done in terms of the card. You know, we've been to other places like O2, but York Hall's home, right? York Hall is the spiritual arm of boxing, and they deserve this tonight. Tickets have gone great. The place is going to be rammed. It's very hot generally. Yeah. The atmosphere is going to be hot, and you're melting in there. I've just done like a pre-fight interview in there, and it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm probably losing more weight just from being in a suit. I nearly put my shorts on this morning, and I thought, no, you've got to go and dress as smart as you can. But it's a great card. 4 of the fights, both fighters are undefeated, so you've got a card here where someone's always got to go in 4 fights.
Yeah,
you don't see that on a big platform. So hats off to some of these. They're not for titles on some of them. Some of them are for titles, of course. There's 3 title belts on the line tonight, an eliminator on the line, and just a cracking top 4 or 5 fights, as well as a great supporting cast as always.
Obviously exciting for the fans with TalkSport as well. I remember I was obviously doing the media for when you and Mark actually collabed, and it's been a successful year, I can imagine, for you guys.
Yeah, we've had a great year. You know, we've done
the ups and downs as well.
Yeah, look, some shows are better than others. You know, there was a show a couple before this, and it was like, I'll be honest, it was like a church, and it was just like really quiet, and it was dead, and I was like, I just want to go home almost, because not every show can be the best, but tonight is one of them where it is. I think we've probably done as many tickets on this show as we've done on any other show. The guest list, that people coming out of the woodwork say, John, can I have tickets? Because the fights are that good, you know, and the top of the bill fight in particular, everyone's talking about it. And I think 2 or 3 of these fights are too good to be on a platform where we're at. And we're proud where we're at. We know we're growing and we're doing really well, but to get them fights sometimes aren't easy. And you're called in for a treat tonight. And I can tell you, if you ain't got your tickets and you're watching at home, don't fall asleep early, because you will see some classic fights.
That brings me nicely on to the main event tonight, Dan Francis versus Joel Kadua. Both of them, like you said, Dan's 10-0 after I see him at the O2, absolutely bite down on his gum shield against Duffy. Right. And then Joel is 8-0, and I've seen him fight a few times. That's an exciting fight, isn't it? Like, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, look, people in the sport, including yourself, when you're on the phone to the gyms and the managers and the fighters at the moment, and the trainers trying to make fights, everyone's like, that fight's amazing, who's going to win it? And everyone's got a different opinion. I think you nailed it. I think maybe people might look and think Dan's ticked an extra box where he has bit down on his gum shield and won a fight like that that's already been nominated for Fight of the Year, contender with the board.
Was a fight.
But that don't mean that Joel can't do that. No. It's just, he might not have shown it, but it don't mean he can't. Dan's had a couple of wars. The fight before that against Slav Gegic, that was a tough fight, but he's showing the level he's at, and he's better than the level where he's currently at, I believe, with Dan. But probably Joel is as well, and I can't pick it. It's easy to sit on the fence. Dan is with Mark Nielsen, who's my business partner, and he's fought on 3 or 4 of my shows, so he's my fighter now as well, and I love Dan just like they do. I get they manage him, but equally Joel, he's with Tunde. I work well with Tunde. We've had him on 2 times. The last 3 fights have been on Sky Sports. You know, I managed to make the fight, and with Tunde it was like, well, let's get it on this show. So it's a bit like watching a couple of your kids fight. You don't really want it to happen in terms of, but you do want it to happen because it's a good fight. But that's all right. No worries, Shane. So yeah, look, it's a cracking fight. Who do I think will win? I don't know. I'm probably going to say that on camera as well. But if I was off camera, I ain't going to be shocked either way. The predictors you can do on BoxRec, and it's like 55-45.
Yeah,
you know, it's a proper fight.
I said it was 51-49.
Yeah,
Then you've got Sonny Hardy. Firstly, I'm sorry, the guy slipped.
Ellison Suchi.
That's it, Ellison Suchi. That's another one. Obviously, Sonny, they're both stepping up. Sonny 8-0, Ellison's 4-0. Another, obviously, undefeated fighter against each other.
Yeah, again, and there's no title on this fight, so hats off to both fighters. You know, I'm obviously biased with Sonny. Sonny is a TM14 boy. They're loyal. He's had 8 fights, 8 wins. They've all been with me on TM14 shows, some of them with the Nielsens as well. They're friends of mine, Sonny. His dad's a lovely guy. He's with Kevin Mitchell, who's also a friend of ours. It's an interesting fight because you've got Kevin Mitchell in one corner, you've got George Groves in the other corner. If you're not aware, George is sort of like part of that team as well. So when they step together in the middle, and then they're them two legends of the sport, certainly on the British scene. One's fought for world titles, the other one's won world titles. It'll be interesting, and it's great for us to have them in here. I'm going to have to back my guy because he's my guy. I think he's a bit more experienced, and I rate Sonny very, very well. But equally, the noisy, I don't know much about Ellison. You know, we've never had him, so I've not seen him fight. I might try and find a little bit on YouTube that I can get, but that's all I know. But they're confident, you know, and at the weigh-in yesterday, there were people talking to me going, John, this is a proper 50-50 fight. It isn't just a walkover for Sonny, but we don't expect that. The guy's undefeated. When they're undefeated, they don't know how to get beat. He isn't turning up here to just go, oh, I'm going to lose. So I hear that he's technically quite good. I'm hoping that Sonny just steps up the gas when he needs to and puts the pressure on and maybe gets a little bit more power. Will he stop him? Don't know, but I'm going to have to back my guy.
And then you've got Dorian versus Gideon as well. Dorian Migas versus Gideon Trethewey. I apologise if I've got them names wrong.
That's right. You got the first one's first name wrong with another fighter, similar surname. So it's Dorian Krasmaru, heavyweight out the Peacock. That's right, no worries. There's a couple of Dorians and Doris, so don't worry. And he's fighting Gideon Trethewey, you know, and this is another one where I'm a little bit like, so Dorian fights out the Peacock Gym. You know, I'm closely connected with them, and I've known Dorian for about 4 or 5 years. He was 3-0. He was inactive for about 3 years. I think his previous fight was during COVID on a Frank Warren show. He came back recently and he fought on a different platform, and he won and went 4-0. So he's looking good. And Gideon, fair play to him. You know, he's only 2-0. Both his fights have been with us. And like when I put the fight to him, Dorian's been really avoided. You know, when I speak to the gyms, no one wants to fight Dorian. So it's really hard to find an opponent. But Gideon literally turned around and they were like, we'll have it. So 2 heavyweights, both undefeated. Leather will get traded. Heavyweights, it usually ends in a knockout. So I think technically Gideon, his amateur pedigree is exceptional.
What I've heard,
Yeah, amazing. But he hasn't knocked loads of people out. Whereas Dorian probably has a bit of power. Let's see how it pans out. But 6 rounds there, someone's always got to go again. But
and then you get the heavyweights. And then the other one was Alfie Clegg. You got Alfie Clegg on the show as well.
Yeah, great addition for us. He normally fights on Dean White's show, so it's nice to get someone on our show that we're not normally connected with. He's sold a bundle of tickets. We know he's popular. He's a good fighter. I'm really chuffed to have him on here, and we've got the title fight for him. You know, he's fighting someone from Namibia.
He's at 8-0 as well.
He's 9-0. So, and again, I think it's Jonas Erastus. I think I've got it right. Obviously, we don't know him. He's undefeated, so he don't think he gets beat just like the others. He ain't flying over for a laugh. They gave him a send-off at Namibia airport like he was a flipping celebrity. There was a band there and everything. This is his big night. You know, if he wins tonight against someone classy, like what he's called Alfie Classy, but if he beats someone as classy as Alfie, then you've got to expect that the big boys will come knocking on him, maybe in an away corner where he'll earn a lot more money on maybe a Frank Eddie show, something like that, where he can fight someone else. But you never know with African fighters because we don't know them that well. They're an unknown quantity. They could come over and it could be a worldie. They might not be as good as a British fighter, but we don't know. And he doesn't know how to get beat, like I said. So
that unknown's always exciting as well.
I can't tell you who wins it because I don't know enough. But again, you've got an 11-0 against a 9-0. Great fight.
Of course. And what's the TM14 looking for in the future after obviously this week? What's the future looking at the moment?
Yeah, thanks.
I know there's a lot of dates you've got on and stuff like that, but the summer sort of slows down a little bit to then the end of the year then picks back up, doesn't it?
Yeah, you always ask how we're doing and what we've got planned, which is lovely. So we're going to have a summer break. So July, August, no one can sell tickets in that time because it's school holidays. Everyone goes away and they think they can sell tickets. Then all of a sudden they struggle with it and then the bills don't get paid and the fighters struggle. So we've been there before and we've learned our lesson. So we'll all have a break. I'll have a little break myself. Well, I say I'll have a break. I'll have a break from the night of the shows, but all the stuff in the background still goes on. We've got every month booked for the rest of the year pretty much after that. We've got every month and more next year here. We're looking to deal with some other promoters, me and Mark together, to do some stuff around the UK, some stuff maybe north, south, that kind of bit. So there's always something that's going on, but we're pleased to announce, and I think it's been publicly announced, but we're doing a festival of boxing, if you like, Friday the 26th and Saturday the 27th, back-to-back nights at your call. First time I think anyone's ever done it. The card's being pieced together now, so we're excited by that.
It's completely different as well.
Exactly. We like to try new things. I mean, say it's new, it's your call. It's like being at work every day, but to do back-to-back shows, we're a busy fight week that week for sure, and at the moment we're just putting together some tasty fights on it.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Obviously, with a slimmed down Jon Trethewey.
Lovely. Go on. You can go on the payroll.
And I look forward to seeing how the future goes, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.